What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to dive into a recent cyber attack that sent shockwaves through the tech industry. And just a few days ago, tech giant Microsoft made a startling revelation. A group of Chinese hackers breached their customers' email system to gather intelligence. The attack, orchestrated by a well-resourced group known as Storm 0558, exposed the vulnerabilities within even the most robust security measures. And so in this video, I want to explore the details of the breach, the potential implications, and most importantly, the critical changes that companies need to make in order to protect themselves from similar attacks in the future. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so this article is on npr.org, and of course I always had a link down in the description of the video, but Microsoft basically disclosed a breach where Chinese hackers broke into some customers' email systems to gather intelligence. And this article was put out on July 12th, 2023. I think it happened a couple of days before that, but they disclosed it on Tuesday evening. And if we scroll down a little further, it talks about the hackers that are known as Storm 0558 and how they repeatedly manipulated credentials to access accounts. And also the Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, detected unusual activity in the government's agency's Microsoft 365 email cloud environment and reported it to Microsoft and CISA. And the State Department acknowledged detecting anomalous activity and took immediate steps to secure its systems, possibly being the agency that alerted Microsoft. Now let's talk about what the hackers actually got. And based on this article, they were able to access and steal data from accounts, but the stolen data was unclassified, which makes it not as damaging, but it's still damaging for them to be able to get into the accounts, period. Now, one thing about it is they're still unclear the extent of the breach, including the number of government agencies targeted and the exact data stolen. And then one other thing to point out in here is that Microsoft describes the hackers as well-resourced and focused on espionage, highlighting the ongoing challenge of keeping sophisticated actors out of systems. Now, this isn't the first breach of this kind for Microsoft. I remember a couple years back, I talked about how Microsoft logged into some Exchange servers to run patches on them and update them without the organization's knowledge. I think I did a video on it. Professor Black Ops did a video on it, how Microsoft was able to just go in without any permission to patch these systems to try to keep them up to standard. And so therefore, the US government is pressuring companies to maintain high security standards. And we all know that these types of cybersecurity attacks and breaches are part of a spy game between the US and its adversaries, necessitating constant efforts to limit vulnerabilities and respond effectively. And I believe this also ties to why they're trying to block TikTok, or at least that's the excuse that they've used throughout the last year or so. Now, lastly, CISA advises organizations to be on high alert for suspicious activity and provide recommendations for enhanced monitoring and logging, as well as contacting Microsoft if suspicious activity is detected. And here's a direct quote. It says, critical infrastructure organizations are strongly urged to implement the logging recommendations in this advisory to enhance their cybersecurity posture and position themselves to detect similar malicious activity. And that's wrote by CISA. Now, I make these videos for people that are trying to get into the IT field, or maybe already working in the IT field, and you're responsible for protecting an organization that you currently work for. And so I wanted to throw some things that I've learned in the industry as far as ways to protect yourself, or things you should implement within the organization in order to protect that organization. And the first one is companies should enhance their authentication procedure. And this will potentially prevent hackers from exploiting vulnerabilities and gaining unauthorized access. That's where a lot of these hacks actually happen, is dealing with the way people authenticate. And so things like implementing multi-factor authentication and using strong passwords and unique passwords, and also reviewing and updating access privileges as much as possible will help protect your organization. And the second thing I wanted to put out there is promptly applying security patches and updates. This is a very crucial port to prevent attackers from exploiting known vulnerabilities. And companies should have robust patch management processes in place to ensure that all software systems and applications are up to date with the latest security fixes. And lastly, it's essential for companies to have a comprehensive monitoring and response system in place to protect and respond to security incidents effectively. And one of the applications that pops up in my mind is Splunk, which is being heavily used within the industry. And I've talked about, getting Splunk training. There is websites out there where you can get training on Splunk. And you can also set up Splunk servers in your home lab just to get familiar with the application and set it up and play around with it so you can understand it and how to implement it within the organization. And these types of comprehensive monitoring and response systems include real-time monitoring of network traffic, logs, and user activity, as well as deploying intrusion detection prevention systems. And one of the most important things that, at least based on my experience and things, I haven't seen many people cover how you should have an incident response plan with well-defined roles and responsibilities, and protocols can help mitigate the impact of an attack and enable a swift and effective response. And we've all heard that quote, it's not a matter of if, but when you get hacked. And that concludes this cyber news. Like I said, I wanted to give somewhat of a deep dive into the recent cyber attack on Microsoft and the essential measures companies should take to safeguard themselves against such threats like this in the future. And like I've always said on this channel, if you're trying to get into the cybersecurity field, this is the type of content or articles that you need to pay attention to, because it can affect you while working in this industry. And remember, cybersecurity is a constantly evolving battle, and staying vigilant is paramount. If you have any thoughts or questions or personal experiences related to cybersecurity or this particular breach, I'd love to hear it down in the comment section below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more informational content, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date when I release new content. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And of course, keep it tech.